Okay, we're going to call to order the regular meeting of the City Commission for Tuesday, August the 9th. If you would, silence your cell phones and all other devices. City Clerk, if you call the roll, please.
Mayor Owen.
Here.
Vice Mayor McGurk.
Here.
Commissioner Hartman.
Here.
Commissioner Colodi.
Present.
Commissioner Sacks.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to begin as always with an invocation, and then after that we'll have a pledge of allegiance. Police Department Chaplain Sheila Turner will lead us in the invocation. If you care to join us in that, please stand and then remain standing for the pledge.
Let us join our hands and hearts unto the Lord. We thank you, Father, for this great day. Thank you for allowing us to be together one more time. And we ask, Lord, that you give us a heart to be able to make the right decisions and keep our minds reminded on the children as they return back to school across this nation. And we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Khaled, any changes tonight?
Yes, sir. We would like to pull out agenda item 9N, and that's ordinance number 51-22.
Okay, that was for a first reading. So, do we want to continue to a date certain, or are we just pulling it?
No, we'll bring it back. I just want to go back to the drawing board on this one.
Okay. All right. Agenda item 9N. So if you're here for 9N, that item is pulled. There'll be some more staff discussion on that. And it'll come back in some new form. No other changes to the agenda. We've got a couple of proclamations and recognitions tonight. So head down here. All right, there we go. So first, I want to recognize the Kutas Beach Volleyball team. If you all would join us up here along with their coach. And we also have another special guest that was here for this and some other causes, and that is our district representative for this area for the school board, Miss Linda Cuthbert. If you would join the team up here as well, I think it's appropriate. So tonight, you guys all went back there. You left, yeah, come up here. Come. All right. So we're recognizing the women's beach volleyball team, the Kutas Beach Volleyball team. It says, whereas beach volleyball is an endurance sport. Is this just two of y'all on the side? Is that? All right, I've watched some beach volleyball, and it looks like an endurance sport. I don't know how you do it. All right, requiring a high degree of mental and physical toughness and emphasizing both individual excellence and the importance of teamwork. Whereas the New Smyrna Beach High School women's beach volleyball team just completed an outstanding year, holding a record of 24-1. 24-1. That's impressive. Throughout their regular season, winning the first ever Florida State Championship at Florida State University. Look at that. That's right. And they had the honor of being ranked #1 in the nation. They're led by their outstanding coach, head coach John Cunningham here. And the following athletes have achieved goals that have made history for the team and in the school, and they should be and are being tonight recognized for their determination, strength, focus, and especially their mental fortitude during these past years. So I'm going to do first names. I don't want to butcher anyone's last name. We can hopefully get through the first name. So we have Bree, Becca, Ryan, Gabby, Eden, Kaylin, Lily, Jalen, Maddie, Lydia, Nye, Tut, Jenny, Marley, and Libby. So congratulations to all of them. And on behalf of the city of New Smyrna Beach, in recognition for their record-breaking skills and their determination of effort, we are proclaiming this day in honor of the beach volleyball team. So congratulations to you all. we're gonna take some pictures with the commission here.
Okay, guys, girls form 2 rows, you 2 and you 2, come forward, please. And we'll have everybody else in the second row here. There you go, perfect. Okay. On me, on 3, 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much.
All right, the next item is a Historic Preservation Award. I'll hold this. We're going to let Bob do that, and then we'll bring the commission back up.
So just to let everybody know, awards are given annually to properties that promote pride in the city's past and increase awareness and appreciation for buildings that have contribute to the history and the character of New Smyrna Beach. So all buildings that are 50 years old or older associated with a historic event is eligible. So on June the 8th, the Historic New Smyrna Beach Preservation Commission selected the winner for this year's award, and that winner is 216 Florida Avenue, which is owned by Catherine and Jody Swain. So if they'll come up.
Okay. So, next item up, public participation. This is your chance to address your city commission. We do have a 3-minute time limit. We ask you to be respectful of that for our sake, for your fellow neighbor's sake, and direct your comments to the commission. We may try to respond here. We may direct staff to respond later. We may respond after everyone speaks, just kind of varies. But we certainly are listening no matter what, and we'll try to follow up with you as appropriate. So with that, I invite you to the podium. Just give your name and address when you begin to speak. Linda. Oh.
Good evening, I'm Linda Cuthbert. I live at 1810 Red Rock Road, New Smyrna. I'm your Volusia County School District 3 representative. I've been serving on the school board for 8 years. I am not running for re-election, so I'm very sad. I'm a 26-year veteran of teaching at New Smyrna Beach High School. Last spring, we had a verbal agreement with your city manager, very graciously agreed to go partners with the school district and the county of Volusia to help support and finance a school traffic light in front of New Smyrna Beach High School. Extremely well needed. I appreciate the fact that I did hear a rumor you tried to go out to Edgewater to get a partnership, that they declined. I will be going to their city commission meeting too, to try to rally for that partnership. Our half-cent sales tax is very precious to Volusia County schools. It is important because it pays for all the renovations at New Smyrna Beach Middle School. It paid for the complete rebuild of New Smyrna Beach High School 17 years ago. New Smyrna is a hurricane shelter now that we open, and there's one in the tropics right now, I do believe. It is a hurricane shelter for Hurricane 2. Chisholm, which has just been finished in the last couple of years, is a shelter for Hurricane Category 3. We greatly appreciate you considering your vote to support that partnership with us, because our parents desperately need it, as well as our students. We have school choice. Kids from all over the county come to New Smyrna Beach High School, and also a lot of our students go to other schools in the county as well. So we are a very diverse group, but it certainly would be very helpful. We did put a complete new loop in front of New Smyrna Beach Middle School to help you get traffic off of 10th Street. So we're trying to do our part on our property. We need your help. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Linda. Thanks for your service. Good evening.
Jesse Romero, 708 South Cooper Street. I want to recall last meeting I met, I saw you guys here. It was involving the Venetian Bay. It was a very contentious meeting, and I don't appreciate some of the comments that were made by some people on the dais in regards to telling the lawyers what they are and telling the people of Venetian Bay this and that there. End of the day, you approve the process, all right? Which was wrong, because the planning and zoning had already said no. But you said, you know what? Screw it. Honestly, let's just do it. So here we are today. You're gonna have another one today. I went to the meeting last time, planning and zoning. I spoke my mind, and I'm gonna speak it again tonight when it comes up. You need to start to slow these things down. If you noticed, one of the things that I noticed under MDMA, which I know a lot of you guys talk about, the MDMA or Master Development Agreement, I understand the LDRs and the PUDs and all that. In one word that was very critical to me on page 6 that I read in there, paragraph H, it says that this process is into perpetuity, this contract, into perpetuity. That's forever. So no matter what happens, unless the developer builds within 10 years. That was 2011. So if I buy a property out west, 20 acres, I build a contract, say perpetuity, I go ahead and build a shack on the 9th year, I can say that for another 20 years. You guys can't touch it. Those things cannot be in there when it comes to development of property that's into perpetuity. You've got to stop that. Find a way. I know we have some people in the audience tonight that are going to be going for offices. This has to change. MDMAs and PUDs have to be more towards the people, not the developers. Thank you.
Thank you. By the way, most agreements this commission's approved, we do put time limits on. So we learned that lesson, but we didn't approve that agreement. Any others for public participation tonight? Mark.
Good evening, Mark Billings, 128 Mangrove Estates Circle in New Smyrna. I'm here as the Executive Director of Habitat for Humanity, and first I want to say thank you for your service and what you do for our community. A few weeks back I was here and I made a presentation, and through your generosity you awarded Habitat for Humanity 3 units or lots for us to build homes on, and we're excited about that, so I want to say thank you for that. However, I did reflect on the meeting. I sat here during the meeting, and there was some spirited discussion around one lot in particular, 708 Francis, and many of you spoke how you felt about it. Many of our community members were here. I live in the community, and I worship in the community, and I work in the community. So I went back to my board. 2 of them are here tonight. Our chair, Kay Walker's behind me, as well as Celeste Lester, our board secretary. On behalf of our board, we would like for the commission to consider that Habitat would bring $25,000 to the table, and we partner in a community, public, and private partnership to see if there's some way that we can build a park for that community. I know tonight's not the night to break out the granular details of it, and I don't know what those might look like. What I would welcome is an opportunity in the future, once the appropriate community members could be notified and you've had time to consider your thoughts on this, that we may have a deeper, broader conversation. But I wanted to say thank you, and also wanted to say that the Habitat Board is fully supportive of working with the community as well as the commission as to what might be the best use of that property. Happy to take any questions or sit down and let you move forward with your agenda. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mark. So, gentlemen, I'd propose let's get through public participation, then I'll make a brief comment and see if the commission gets some support on working with staff on that. So, yeah,
thank you, Mayor.
We'll get through the rest of the public. Any others for public participation? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Brooks Weiss. I live at 4314 Gold Cove in New Smyrna Beach, Florida. I come before you to express my interest to become a member of the P&Z board. I'm a registered architect in Florida and a planner. My last project with the city of Winter Park was as a city architect. I started coming to New Smyrna Beach in 1975 when I worked for Neil Schweitzer, and should be a name that everybody knows, but Neil's came to Florida to be Frank Lloyd Wright's administrator for the Florida Southern College in Lakeland, and his home has been open to my family for some 45 years, and I still maintain friendships with his widow and sons. Actually, my first project in New Smyrna Beach was moving the old St. Paul's Chapel from Palmetto out to the end of Live Oak, and that was about 77, I believe. And we've been coming back and forth to New Smyrna from Winter Park for 30, 40 years. We simply moved over here and left our house in Winter Park after we sold it about 3 years ago. And I've increasingly become interested in what's been going on in a more closely watched fashion. I'm an architect and planner. I've had the opportunity to work all over the world on large projects such as the Orlando International Airport Phase 2, Dr. Phillips High School, a project in southern tip of Delaware called Bayside, which was a 1,600-acre mixed-use PUD and village layout that kept close ties with the environment and worked very closely with planners and the local governmental agencies to make sure that that was a sustainable and environmentally done project. So I have great interest in becoming a member of the P&Z so that I hopefully can bring my experience to bear for the city of Winter Park, city of New Smyrna Beach. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name's Jill Dempsey, and I live at 1519 North Peninsula Avenue. I emailed all of y'all earlier just to kind of give you an idea of where I was going. So I bought a lot at 4450 South Atlantic Avenue with some extenuating circumstances, and the map on the city website is a bit confusing. I had a conversation with Lisa Martin earlier, and she said, well, the new map doesn't show B2, so I thought, oh, wow, maybe I can save everybody, a lot of time and hassle that it's already R4. So I caught Bob Maffin at home before the meeting. He said, nope, it's interactive, and our view shows it, and the public view doesn't show it. So basically, I would like to build a duplex. It's zoned B2, which is a little bizarre because it goes right around my lot. It doesn't follow the city, like the city border, like it appears to on the map. And everything to the north, R4 would be consistent. I've already had a Zoom meeting with staff, and they supported that. Bob informed me that B2, which is what it's zoned now, would support a triplex, but I don't have the square footage for a triplex. So there's a $5,000 application fee, which is really why I'm here. I asked for a waiver, but I totally understand that, I'm not asking for anything for free. I want to do my due diligence. I want to do, what I need to do. But I just felt like $5,000 for an application fee was exorbitant. If I was building 75 houses, that'd be one thing, but I'm not. So Bob said I needed y'all's blessing, so that's why I'm here.
Okay. So it's not on the agenda tonight. So it would be on the agenda if we did the application. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, so I fill out an application and then come back and...
No. I just didn't know if this is on the agenda. I thought you had said it was on the agenda tonight, and I just didn't remember that. So I was just clarifying with staff. So
Okay.
yeah. So I think we'll have some discussion after,
Okay.
let's hear from the rest of the public, and then if somebody, we'll bring it up and have some
Okay.
discussion, figure out how we
Thank you very
address it.
much.
Thank you. Any others for public participation tonight? All right, seeing none, I want to come back to two things, if the commission's okay with it, real quick, just to follow up on. I feel like we owe some answers. For the proposal from our friends at Habitat, my thought would be, obviously, we want to make sure the public is aware of whatever the plan may be. Want to make sure staff is aware and comfortable and figure out how that would work, who's responsible for what, now and in the future. So if everyone okay with directing staff, connect with Habitat, figure out some arrangement that could work, have that on a future agenda, and work with Habitat, maybe even asking them to take the lead on getting the word out, especially in that community. We always publicly notice everything we do, but especially in that community, making sure that word gets out. Any concerns with that as a path forward, Commissioner Colodi?
I do.
Okay.
Habitat is you can call them a community-wide organization with the number of properties they have developed and hopefully will do more. I certainly appreciate an offer of $25,000 for improvements. I don't recall any of the adjoining residents asking for improvements. They just basically didn't want to have additional housing there. I've been past the property. It's a very nice passive area right now. I would like our staff to explore with the Habitat group. Perhaps there's other ways they could donate the $25,000 that would be beneficial to more of the houses that they're putting in.
Okay.
So I just think we should broaden upon that. I certainly welcome the offer, but whether that's really the best way to make all the communities
Yeah.
receptive.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. I'd certainly be open to hearing, option A, option B. What I don't want to do is debate it tonight because it wasn't on the agenda. So we're not saying we agree or disagree with it. We're just saying, are we okay with having staff work with them and come back?
Yes, very much so. When I was approached with it, I just made the suggestion that someone needs to go out to that street.
100%.
Reach out to the people, and I think it would be best if it was Habitat. Reach out, get to know the people, let them know what the idea is, so they're working directly with them.
Yeah.
Kind of straight to the horse's mouth.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I also think it's a conversation that maybe we should have at a workshop or something, because is it one piece of property, two pieces? Are we going to combine the two pieces? It actually shows two parcels there. So, I certainly think that there needs to be more work done on this before we get to that point. It didn't come up in the Parks Master Plan at all as something that was necessary or needed in the area. And like Commissioner Colodi, the passive park idea, I think, is a fantastic idea. And how do we do that? And is there just a simpler way to do that? I don't know. So it's not on the agenda. I think it needs to be probably workshopped, or at least staff do some more legwork on it and bring it back to us.
Okay. Do you want to, we can put on the agenda maybe then for the 18th? Or not the 18th, that's the budget workshop. We have that other workshop coming up.
August 30th is the workshop that's besides the budget workshop. So on the 30th, we have several items on the agenda. We could add that one as an agenda item. So there's two things we could do. We could meet with Habitat, just kind of discuss and have some options available that we could present for you on the 30th.
Okay.
That's my thought, is just let's see what they're proposing, see what staff thinks. We may choose to do nothing. There may be variables. I'm just saying.
And then also there is, I know I have an email for one of the property owners on Francis. Maybe I could reach out to her and at least just give her heads up that this is something in the discussion that maybe if they want to attend the workshop on the 30th, just gives them heads up.
Yeah, however we do it, I think making sure between us and them, and I agree with Vice Mayor, you're Vice Mayor now, right? Yes, Vice Mayor McGurk, sorry, Vice Mayor McGurk, that letting Habitat kind of run with that. Sure. Commissioner Sachs.
I would like to hear the neighbors weigh in. When I heard park, I wasn't sure I was hearing correctly. I think it's an an offer that's worth looking at, but we started out with the idea of a passive park. It's a much better asset for the community than another home. We can find properties for more homes for your program, but at the same time, you know, it's something worth looking into, and I appreciate the offer.
Okay. The other item was brought up, and we also, I think, all received an email. Is that how do we go about that? Is that something we just randomly discuss now, or it feels like there should be an application for like a variance or a waiver of fees? Like, what's the process for that? And are we?
It should be an agenda item.
Okay.
So I don't know.
So how would they get that as an agenda item? Just talk to staff?
Just talk to Bob, and I guess through planning, they'll submit an agenda item for the next meeting or the meeting after.
Okay. Okay. Feels like it could be a slippery slope. All right.
Nonetheless, Mr. Mayor, you already have volunteers for an adopt-a-park if we do make it a park, so
Yeah,
people
no, I
are
agree
very
on the park
excited.
issue. I'm talking about the waiver of the fee, the next
No, I
citizen
know.
that came up, yeah.
I wanted to add
All right.
Well, unless if you wanted to just make a decision now, I mean.
I don't, it wasn't on the agenda, I'm saying, how does it get on the agenda? And
We could put it on the 23rd for you to
Okay.
consider.
Okay,
That works. Important to get on the agenda.
yeah.
I will get it on the agenda.
I mean, the challenge is, I guess, I don't want it to become where every application is now a two-step process. We first have to decide whether we're gonna charge the fee, and then we decide the item. You know, like, I don't want it to devolve to that. Like, there has to be some kind of checks and balances and sensibility, or, I don't know that. Let's have that discussion another time. So, for now, I guess we get this one on the agenda, and then we'll figure it out. All right, gentlemen, thank you. Thank you all for coming for public participation. Next item, consent agenda. There are 26 items. So we're going to come down the line as always. If you have something you want to pull, that means you probably are going to vote against it. You're wanting to make that point, then indicate that. If you just want to make a very, very brief comment, we don't have time to all comment on all 26 items, but if you want to make a brief comment, just to call something out or ask a question or clarify, please just do that as we come down the line. Commissioner, I'm going to start this way. Commissioner Hartman.
You would do that to me, wouldn't you?
Oh, sorry. I'll go down here. Commissioner Colodi, who's probably already ready.
You always start with me.
I do. I was
I'm
going to
ready.
change it up. All right, go ahead.
So many items. I would like to pull the following. B as in boy, G as in George, L as in Larry, and N as in Nancy. A whole family of them.
Okay. So those are the ones you're pulling. So we're going to come back to those once we finish the rest. Do you have anything else on the consent agenda before we come back to those?
No, that's
Okay.
it.
Commissioner Sachs, any items to pull from the consent agenda besides B, G, L, and M?
I have
Or
nothing to
N?
pull tonight.
N. All right.
Thank you.
Commissioner Vice Mayor.
No, Mayor.
All right. Commissioner Hartman.
I still can't find it. All right.
Which one do you need? While you look, I do have a comment, so I'll jump in if you're okay with that.
Yeah, I want to pull N. No, N was already pulled.
N was pulled?
M, as in Mary.
M as in Mary.
And then I have a comment on T, as in Tom.
Okay, go ahead with the comment then.
Okay, this is a special event for the Christmas parade, and I talked to Colin about this already. Last Christmas parade, as we were going past the North Causeway boat ramp, several boats were lined up to leave, and they were stuck there for several hours. So I think that we could do some presentations probably prior to the parade, the day before, maybe even the week, that, you know, that the road is going to be closed during that period of time, and if you want to leave the boat ramp, you better get out early, sort of thing, so that those people aren't just sitting there waiting for a 2 or 3 hour parade to go through. So he said he'd work on that with some signage maybe and some handbills or something. So just so that you know, and if you know anybody who's a boat over there, just remind them that is the parade day, and North Causeway is going to be closed. So.
Right. Yeah, that's a great suggestion. Did you have any you wanted to pull beside, or you pulled M?
I
Okay.
pulled M, Mary.
Okay, so I just have one comment, actually also on item T. I've shared with staff. My feedback after the last parade, I heard from a couple of folks. Two things, both kind of centered around the presentation of the parade and the decorations. So I'm encouraging staff to have some people along the route at the beginning of the route and then maybe at some other points. Two things. Number one is I believe that we should make sure that to the extent possible that the participants of the parade are decorated accordingly. I heard some feedback from residents. We had numerous vehicles. It was like, what you know, they could have been, it could have been, you know, pick a day. They weren't decorated at all. So it just kind of took away from it. And then that any decorations abstain from all political statements. I think we should be able to have one day of our life that doesn't resolve around red team versus blue team. Now, if the Republican club or Democratic club wants to have a float that just talks about their club, in those terms, that's fine. I just think we shouldn't have political signs, political statements, candidate floats. I don't think we should have that. We're fortunate, it's obviously in December, so we're usually just after an election. At the last parade, we had some folks that had signs on the parade, and I don't care what team you support, I just think we should have one day without it. I could see that devolving really, really quickly. So I've asked staff if they would, I think that was kind of already in our contract, but we weren't kind of on top of it. So I've asked them if they would this year, just make sure we're kind of on top of that. It's already in our contract with everybody that participates in the parade.
And Mayor, I don't want to pull M.
You don't want to pull in?
No.
Okay. All right. So with that, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, all of the items except for B, G, L, and N?
So moved.
Second.
I'll take Commissioner Hartman's second. Motion by Commissioner Sacks. City Clerk.
Commissioner Sacks?
Yes.
Commissioner Colodi?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGurk?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Colodi. Here we go. Item B.
Okay, 6B involves any number of changes to our budget. Unfortunately, some of those changes are included in items that I have indicated I pulled because I'm not too thrilled with. And I think that we should not vote on 6B until after we've resolved the other issues.
Okay, so you want to go down, you want to start with G and work through those and then come back to B. All right, item 6G.
Pulled that by mistake. I was going to discuss it with the city manager.
All right.
22 items.
Got it. Do I have a motion to approve item 6G?
So, second.
Motion by the Vice Mayor, second by Commissioner Colodi. City Clerk.
Commissioner Colodi?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Sacks?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Colodi, item L.
6L involves the purchase of a building, if you can call it that, and land at 1400 Finley Street, which lies directly behind the firehouse, next to, I would say, the tire store. It is in extremely poor condition, and the cost to renovate it is, for their use, is probably much greater than the purchase price. And what we will be buying is an old building that the department has never introduced any need for until now at that particular location. I think it's an expense we don't need to undertake at this particular time. If this particular need for additional space comes forth with a better location, such as an addition at one of our other firehouses, which probably would cost more, but make more sense in the long run, I could support it then. But as it is right now, I do not support that purchase.
Okay. I have a motion on item 6L.
Question for discussion.
Okay, go ahead.
The purchase was meant, was my understanding that we were purchasing it for the property and not the building, so that we could expand fire prevention and inspections.
The property has a structure on it. The structure is a concrete block structure, so it could be easily renovated. If you recall, the expansion of at Fire Station 53, that was in the range of 500. I would say probably in the range of 900,000. So when the fire chief brought this item, we figured that it's the property is at 165,000. Even if we spend $200,000 to renovate this building, we're still at 365 comparing to 900,000. The other option, if the structure is really deteriorated to the point that we have to demolish it, I mean, we could demolish and rebuild, and it still will be a lot cheaper than the expansion at 53. So there's a couple of options available for us. According to the fire chief, the building is old, but it's a concrete block building, and it could be easily renovated.
Move to approve item L.
Second.
A motion and a second. To me, it's the location of the land almost more than anything, so that's why I would support it. City Clerk, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Clody?
No.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Sacks?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Colodi, item N.
We all agreed that the roof needs to be replaced, and we did solicit bids, and we have a recommendation to make an award that is not the low bid award, or apparently isn't the low bid award, but the background data supplied with the recommendation to purchase it actually didn't include the price of the lower bid. And if it's nominal, I have no problem with it. If it's significant, I do have a problem, but that's why I pulled it, to hear the answer.
It is it's a significant difference. The other bid was $36,400.
And the new bid, or the recommended bid is 70,000?
Yes, sir.
Double the cost.
Yes, sir.
I can't support that.
David, what were the factors that would determine that beyond just price? Because obviously we'd all pick the lower price.
Right.
So
it was an RFP, and some of the comments that came back from the evaluation committee was the bid that was selected can get the 80 mil TPO quickly and stay on schedule and get the project done. They also offered an additional 10-year warranty beyond the other company, and those were two of the leading factors going into it, because if we wanted the 80 mil TPO, we could be pushing it back to after the new year. So that was one of the aspects that came into it.
So one company can get it now, they bid it for that, but just not available now. It would still be the 80 mil TPO.
The 36.4 is for the 60 mil TPO.
So a lower quality product.
Correct.
Okay. So did we bid it with the spec of an 80 mil TPO and they just bid 60, or did we leave that open-ended?
So they came back, and I believe their bid to do the 80 went up a couple $1,000s, but it was still pushed beyond the new year to try and get
So they came back with meeting the spec of the 80,
Yes.
and it went up to, but still significantly less, it
Yes.
sounds like,
Yes,
if
sir.
we're willing to make the timeline. So now my question is, how big of a, I mean, I felt like there's a pretty urgent need at Maintenance Ops,
Yeah.
but can it push to the end of the year to save 30 grand? I mean,
I will say when we have storms, it's raining inside the building. So it's a pretty large need. I mean, ultimately, if you all decide to push it, then
is there equipment underneath that is getting rained on?
no, we've moved all the equipment. And so when we are expecting rain, we know kind of where to put buckets and things of that nature.
But this is a roof that we approved a year ago.
Yeah.
And got cut out of last year's budget
Yeah.
because of funding cuts. And so, it's one of those things, you're gonna get a higher quality, you're gonna get the extra warranty year on the life of the roof.
Well,
Yeah, but I can almost buy 2 roofs for the other.
From what I understand, based on this conversation, we're talking a cost difference of approximately $30,000
Yeah.
if the low bidder used the 80 mil roof, the higher strength roof.
Right.
And we would just have to wait a little bit longer for it, and then we would have 30,000 extra in our budget to spend on something else.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
Yes.
That's all the information I need. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, I mean, did we talk to the other bidders about the gap, and can we, I mean, could they meet us halfway on that? and
It's more
still
so
get it done now?
for the other bidders, it's more so them being able to get the product in. And the way an RFP works, once the
Yeah.
evaluation committee,
I know.
we have to bring it to you all to say yes or no on it, so.
Sometimes, see, this is a difference. If this were a business run like a private business, they would have gone back to the high bidder and said, hey, can you meet us halfway and get it done today?
Right.
But when you follow government procurement rules, it's what we, the taxpayers, get to deal with.
Right.
You know, it's a challenge because there's more to the story than just the money, clearly. And I hate to spend extra money we don't need to spend. However, I get worried that if we take the low bid, what's the catch? If there is a catch, we come around the end of the year, beginning of the year, what happens? Was this person not able to get? So, you know, it's just, that gap is too big for there not to be a backstory that we're not able to determine.
I do have one further question.
Go ahead.
That low bidder,
Yes, sir.
did you check his references? Is he well-known in the community? And does he do this type of work?
Yes, they do.
'Cause I believe that's AWS Roofing.
Yes, sir.
AWS was the low bidder?
Yes, sir.
They're usually the expensive one.
Yeah, I was about to say that's surprising. Would that bid hold them, and they would honor that bid at the end of the year?
Yes.
Is that, we'd sign the contract now and they'd honor the bid? Khaled, I mean, I'm gonna look to you on this. I haven't stood there and watched the rain pour through the roof. I don't like the thought of people moving equipment around, but I can almost buy 2 roofs for the price of 1. What's your recommendation?
It's almost a double, and I have a problem with that. The only thing is, as we mentioned, and I think Commissioner Hartman mentioned, that this was on the budget last year, and then we delayed it another year.
Yeah.
How about if you, let's continue it for the next meeting?
Okay.
Might consider maybe just to go out to rebid and specify the material we're using and the timing,
Yeah.
and see what happens.
We can rebid with a pretty short time window then.
I mean, I don't have to put it out to whole 30 days, since
Yeah.
it's already been, maybe I could put it out for maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah, because everybody that would bid has already seen it, so I could support that. I mean, that at least gives us that option.
Yeah, we'll be back building it in January then.
Well, in that case, it makes an easier decision. All right. So
Did
we'll
they indicate, David, when they'll have their material available, AWS?
For the 80 mil, they were looking after, they were just stipulating after January.
After January?
Okay.
Question quickly, Mr. Mayor. David, this is part of an ongoing project to beef up and improve the maintenance operations site, correct? It's not just a roof that we need.
Well, this one will be the roof for the admin building.
Okay.
And then the other expansion would be a separate bid.
Is this over offices as well, or is it just like warehouse space?
This is all the offices.
So we have rain coming in people's offices.
It's not in the offices, we have it kind of diverted, it's going to, right now we have it going to a hallway.
I mean, I can't. These are employees. I can't ask them to work like that. I think I'm with Commissioner Hartman. It should have been done a year ago. We've punted this can. It's not ideal. We backed ourselves this corner. If we'd have taken it a year ago, we'd probably done it for half this, because everything's gone up, 20% inflation. So if it's over people's offices, it's going to create 5 other problems, mold, a million other things. So I think I could support doing it tonight if anybody else can join me.
So if we go out for rebid it, it'd be what, probably a month before it comes back before us?
Approximately. Probably, if we go out, if you just authorize us to reject the RFPs, put it out to bid again, and we'll probably bring it back to you maybe the first meeting in October.
I mean, the risk of that, gentlemen, there's no guarantee those bids don't go up. I mean, if we reject the RFP, we're rejecting all those bids, and then they all rebid, they can all go up. The 30,000 now has heard this entire conversation, they know they're way below. So, I mean, ADBS.
That's a big difference, though.
I know, I'm right there with you.
And so, especially if they didn't bid the roof, the 80 the first time, we went back, you know, I'd rather do the rebid process and have a clean one.
Who put the roof on the Brandon Center? No, I'm asking the question, who put the roof on the Brandon Center?
AWS.
Yeah.
But, I mean, just.
It's a low bid
on
situation.
On their defense.
I know, there was more
have
to the story. I know.
There was a design issue
I
there,
know.
so I cannot blame it. I mean, they've been actually, every time they've
I
been
know,
called.
they have actually been good. I don't want to disparage a local company. They're good folks. I know most of them. All right, gentlemen, so we have two options. We can delay for a rebid, or we can make a motion to approve tonight. So I think either way, somebody make a motion for one of those, and let's take a vote.
And I think there's been some confusion. There is reference to bid in this staff report. This was an RFP, so just clarity in the motion that we would be issuing another RFP, it wouldn't be a
Right.
bid. It would
Yeah.
be an RFP.
Okay, so again, looking for a motion to either approve what's before us tonight or ask staff to go back to the drawing board on this item.
Please, if I may, Mr. Mayor, a comment. I'd like to not see our maintenance operations crews work in deleterious conditions, mold, all those aspects. And we did kind of kick the can down the road.
Okay, so do I hear a motion to approve tonight?
Motion to approve tonight.
All right, do I have a second to that motion?
Second.
So it's a motion, just for clarity, it's a motion to approve what was presented to us tonight, which is to accept the bid that was presented tonight. We had a second to that. City Clerk, if you'd call the roll.
Vice Mayor McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Sacks?
Yes.
Commissioner Colodi?
No.
Commissioner Hartman?
No.
Mayor Owen?
Thank you all. Yes. Genuinely, that's just for staff. We're already dealing with a ton of other issues. I can't ask staff to be moving furniture and dodging raindrops and working in that condition. I wouldn't want to do it. I can't ask them to do it. They've done it for a year now. So, all right. That gets us through N. We were going to come back to item B, Commissioner Colodi. Still yours.
Make a motion to approve now that the rest of the commission has decided to pay for the roof,
Okay.
which I don't agree with.
Got it.
But-
Do I have a second? Do I have a second from Vice Mayor, City Clerk?
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Sacks?
Yes.
Commissioner Colodi?
No.
Mayor Owen?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all. That clears the consent agenda, unless I missed anything. Everybody good? All right, I think that clears it. Thank you all, staff that were here for those items. We have no administrative items or new business, no second readings. These are all first readings. Carrie, this is your time to shine. Here we go.
And if any of you have comments, if you just,
Yeah,
you know,
jump in as she goes.
jump in, because otherwise I'm just going to blast
Yep.
through them.
Yep.
Ordinance number 3822, an ordinance annexing into the city of New Smyrna Beach, .14 plus or minus acres of property located on the east side of Oak Street between Washington Street and Mary Avenue, addressed as 401 Oak Street, providing for redefining boundaries of the city, designating the property within Commission Zone 1, providing for public hearing, providing for required filings, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing will be August 23rd, 2022. Ordinance number 3922, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach amending the comprehensive plan, changing the future land use designation of .14 plus or minus acres of land located on the east side of Oak Street between Washington Street and Mary Avenue, addressed as 401 Oak Street from Volusia County urban medium intensity to city medium density residential, providing for amendment of the associated comprehensive plan maps to show the area incorporated into the city, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing will be August 23rd, 2022. Ordinance number 4022. An ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach rezoning .14 plus or minus acres of property located on the east side of Oak Street between Washington Street and Mary Avenue, addressed as 401 Oak Street from Volusia County or R4A Urban Single Family Residential Airport Overlay to City R2A Single Family Residential Airport Overlay Zoning District, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing will be August 23rd, 2022. Ordinance number 4122. An ordinance annexing into the City of New Smyrna Beach .43 plus or minus acres of property located on the east side of Howard Avenue between Julia Street and Woodland Avenue, addressed as 187 Howard Avenue, providing for redefining boundaries of the city, designating the property within Commission Zone 1, providing for public hearing, providing for required filings, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing will be August 23rd, 2022. Ordinance number 4222. An ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach amending the comprehensive plan, changing the future land use designation of .43 plus or minus acres of land located on the east side of Howard Avenue between Julia Street and Woodland Avenue, addressed as 187 Howard Avenue from Volusia County urban medium intensity to city medium density residential, providing for amendment of the associated comprehensive plan maps to show the area incorporated into the city, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing will be August 23rd, 2022. Ordinance number 4322. An ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach rezoning .43 plus or minus acres of property located on the east side of Howard Avenue between Julia Street and Woodland Avenue, addressed as 187 Howard Avenue from Volusia County R4A Urban Single Family Residential Airport Overlay to City R2A Single Family Residential Airport Overlay Zoning District, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing will be August 23rd, 2022. Ordinance number 4422, an ordinance annexing into the City of New Smyrna Beach 3.1 acres of property located on the west side of South Glencoe Road, north of Glencoe Farms Road, addressed as 1717 South Glencoe Road, providing for redefining boundaries of the city, designating the property within Commission Zone 4, designating the property within providing for public hearing, providing for required filings, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing will be August 23rd, 2022. Ordinance number 4522, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach amending the comprehensive plan, changing the future land use designation of 3.1 plus or minus acres of land located on the west side of South Glencoe Road, north of Glencoe Farms Road, addressed as 1717 South Glencoe Road from Volusia County Rural to City Rural, providing for amendment of the associated comprehensive plan maps to show the area incorporated into the city, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing will be August 23rd, 2022. Ordinance number 4622. Ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach rezoning 3.1 acres of property located on the west side of South Glencoe Road, north of Glencoe Farms Road, addressed as 1717 South Glencoe Road from Volusia County A3A Transitional Agriculture Airport Overlay to City A3A Transitional Agriculture Airport Overlay Zoning District, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing will be August 23rd, 2022. Ordinance number 4722, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach amending the Code of Ordinances, amending Chapter 54 Offenses, Section 54.4, Sexual Offender Residency Restrictions, Exceptions and Penalties to further restrict the temporary residences of sex offenders, providing for codification, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Ordinance number 4822, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach amending the land development regulations, amending Article 11, site plan approval, Section 1103, approval process, to amend the application requirements for fence permits, providing for codification, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing will be August 23rd, 2022.
I have a comment.
Yes.
To give you a break.
Okay.
Nothing else. I will not be supporting this when it comes for a second hearing. That's my comment.
Which one is that?
9K.
K.
Ordinance 4822.
All right. Thank you.
An ordinance of ordinance number 4922, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach amending the land development regulations, amending Article 8 supplementary regulations, Section 80303, regulations pertaining to fences, walls, and hedges, to add references to illustrations, amend regulations distinguishing between residential and non-residential through lots, and prohibiting chain link fences in residential front yards, providing for codification, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing will be August 23rd, 2022. Ordinance number 5022. An ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach amending the land development regulations, amending Article 2 definitions, Section 201 general definitions, to add definitions for pet grooming and pet shops, amending Article 5 zoning districts, Section 50402, specific regulations by district, to add pet grooming and pet shops as permitted uses in the MU Mixed Use Central Business District, B2 Neighborhood Business District, and B3 Highway Service Business District, providing for codification, providing for public hearings, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Comment.
Second reading and public hearing will be August 23rd, 2022.
Comments? In the staff report, it says a pet grooming business that occupy 25% or less of the individual lease floor area of a unit using a deafening device will be considered a retail service. What's a deafening device? I think that we need to have some qualifications here. This in particular is, there's MU in Venetian Bay with residential units directly above them. And this is going to affect those residents who live above them. I think that we need to do a little bit more work on this. Do I throw up a sheet of drywall and say that's a deafening device, or do I truly have some kind of a sound deafening? Is there a measurable way to do this? That, I just have some concerns. I know when I drop my dog off, it depends on whose other dogs are at the groomers, it can be noisy from the street. So I would hate for people who are living in a residential unit above one of these things to have to deal with that. And, there's no restrictions on the hours, if they're open till 11 o'clock at night, it's going to cause us some concerns down the road. I think there's unintended consequences. So I would just like for staff to maybe take a better look at this and maybe come back with some more suggestions on how we can deal with those types of issues.
I don't disagree with anything. I think some of that, we've got this parallel thing of the noise ordinance going through, and
Right.
It talks about noises going from one zoning to another type and the rules of that and all those things. So I think some of that comes into play, but I agree with you. I'd like to just be very clear before we introduce a problem, because it is very different. I think when I saw this, I'm picturing just a freestanding, kind of like what we had with what we approved over off of Canal Street.
Right.
But yeah, I wouldn't want to live upstairs but if it wasn't there. If I moved in, it was there, fine. It's my choice. But if we approve it and it moves in, I'm going to be a little frustrated for sure. So I agree with you. Yeah. So Carrie, do we need to give you all some more time and do a date certain on this, or?
Bob, what do you think? How much time do you need?
You're looking for a definition, we
we're doing the light and sound workshop. Do we want to wait until after that and maybe connect the two in some shape, you know, to where,
I think that would be a good idea.
Makes sense
you
to
know,
me.
where we'll have measure, you know, you're going to have it, you're going to be using decimal meters anyway, so is that something that maybe can tie the two together?
Well, one for the code of ordinance update.
Right.
This is the land development.
But then we could reference the ordinance.
Or is there a certain type of,
Sound dampening materials between.
yeah, I guess that's the question is, would you have something in the LDR specific to the type of material required?
We come up with a definition of sound deafening device and have what's
Specific for this type of use?
Right.
Okay, so
So
we'll
maybe
keep
we'll-
it separate from the,
Okay, because, I mean, we had issues at Live Oak with the noise and trying to dampen the sound over there, so, you know, we have some experience at that, so.
Yeah, so maybe we'll just have them bring it back. If we don't quite get there at second reading, we can always, you know, punt it back at that point
well,
and keep going.
the ad has been run, so we either need to keep it on and continue it or move quickly, Bob. You think one continuance or?
Let's let Colin chime in real quick, go ahead.
Just the question is, because I know there is a business owner trying to get their business there, so I wasn't sure if that's an issue with them.
It is an issue with this.
Because I'm sure they're anxious to start their business, and that's why they've been kind of delayed, so, I don't know if it's gonna be enough time for us to come back with the next meeting, having some type of suggestion to the commission in terms of the materials.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you, and we try to be as business friendly as possible, but we also have to be resident friendly, and this applies not only to one specific, as we've covered many times on these, it's not just one specific location. We have to consider impacts across everywhere this applies. So, and the residents that it can impact and other unintended consequences, so.
And I agree with you, man, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
could
no.
we address the issue and be, you know, as fast as possible, so this way the business owner could move on.
So again, can we make some suggestions? You've heard the feedback. Can we make those changes, bring that back, incorporate in the second reading? If it isn't enough, we'll just continue it at that time.
I mean, if it's an MU with residential above, can we limit the number of dogs at any one time?
I mean, we can. We looked at it that we were limited to their 25% of their leases.
Right.
So that was considered a small-scale grooming service and not a full-scale facility.
I know you could double and triple stack some of those crates, you know, and with those little yapper dogs. I'm sorry.
Only quiet dogs.
Yeah, only, so, you know, I'm trying to look out for those residential units, you know. It was a concern of theirs, you know, when this project first started, they reached out to me, and I you know, like you said, they're there, they're already living there, they've been there for a long time, and, you know, if they're gonna be inundated by noise with no set time limits, you know, hours of operation, anything like that, then.
I just don't know if that much change is going to affect.
I mean, it feels like we've got some pretty comprehensive changes, but I'm okay
Right.
either way.
So,
Because it feels like a mess. I agree with that. I think there should be hours of operation, possibly some capacity limits above the 25%, because you're right, you could stack, you could put 100 dogs in 25%. I mean, there's probably some other things. I think we need to take a deeper look on this.
And to add to that, if this thing goes forward, the business owner, you know, we want to look out for the business owner, but if he gets caught in a situation where he's put a lot of investment into this,
Yeah.
and then we're like, you know,
Yep.
this is a no-good situation, then I think it's just best going in eyes wide open, even though it may hurt in the short run for the business owner, but better than him investing, or this person investing in this business, all in.
Carrie, do you want to continue this to a date certain?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Start over first reading, you think?
Well, the definition would still go in 201, right? So I think our title is fine. So we could keep it second reading, and we'll just say second reading and public hearing will continue to, you want to do a second meeting in September?
27th? I'm not here for that.
Will that work for you, Bob?
All right, we'll do that. Do you need to read that, or do we need a motion on that? I can't remember.
Let's see. So, yeah, let's get a motion to have second reading on September 27th.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
City Clerk?
Vice Mayor McGurk?
Yes.
Commissioner Sacks?
Yes.
Commissioner Clody?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
Yes. All right, item is, second reading will be on September 27th. Good catch, Commissioner. Carrie, I think you're at one more. 9N was pulled, remember? So we have 9O.
Ordinance number 5222, an ordinance of the City of New Smyrna Beach approving the Third Amendment to the Regency Walmart Planned Unit Development Master Development Agreement, MDA, to revise the conceptual development plan, providing for public hearing, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Second reading and public hearing would be August 23rd, 2022.
Okay.
And we have the applicant here if there's any comments, questions.
Comments, questions on first reading?
I do have questions.
Okay. On
Are
first
we
reading?
going to hear from the applicant first?
Not usually. It's first reading, so it's only if you have stuff you need to clear before we get to second reading.
Okay.
So we're not going to hear a whole
Then I
presentation.
don't have any questions for him, but what I do have is a procedural question. We're making major changes to a PUD, and I'm not sure that's the appropriate route we should be going on right now. So we can take that up at the second hearing. And I would be more than happy to discuss it with our attorney or their attorney at any given time.
Just for the record, Michael Woods, Cobb Cole, on behalf of the applicant. Happy to speak with you on that. I think the process that we've gone through thus far has been at the recommendation of your staff with the amendment of the PD. And without getting, we won't get into the full presentation, but the relevant element for this application and request is that the actual use and intensity is already provided for in the PD already. Staff asked us to come before you mainly for two reasons. One, we wouldn't want you to be surprised that apartments were coming out of the ground, even though the development agreement contemplated it at the density and intensity we're coming with. And two, to rectify the conceptual plan that was originally recorded. So we've done a whole lot of work into site planning at this point as this is worked through. So we've been working on this probably since, I think the first conversation was November of last year. That time's not gone to waste. We've worked really hard with staff to finalize those details. And I think the only comment even on the staff report is there's a secondary access point that staff has requested, and we're okay with that. We just wanted to make sure there was no other comments from you, because we have the process to review with Walmart and the other, with Regency to get approval. So we just didn't want to be going back and forth multiple times. So if there was other bigger issues that you had.
That is why I brought that up, and I do, my memory serves me correct. You contacted the city clerk to try to set up a meeting to explain the changes.
Yes, sir.
However, nobody ever got back. I had asked for certain things. So,
okay.
A lack of communication.
Well, we will definitely follow up for that. I'm sorry, I just,
No,
we
that's
heard
not-
radio silent. On our end, we thought it was radio silent, but that's absolutely understood.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't like delaying things. I'd like it to move forward.
Okay.
We should talk.
Yes, sir. All right, thank you.
Thanks for being here. Carrie, you finished that full reading, right? The
Second
9-0?
reading, public hearing, August 23rd, 2022.
Okay, thank you. Gentlemen, real quick, I'm not going to make a formal motion yet to reconsider. I may ask if someone would, but I had one other thought after we talked through the roofing thing, and I talked to the city manager just briefly there. It's just still hard for me to swallow, but I do have concern for staff. So my question to him was, if we put $2 or $3 or $4 grand into some temporary repairs that could get us through to December, did he think that was a viable option? And he said he thought that that might be a viable option. We could still probably come out ahead, meet the immediate need, which again, I want to go to sleep tonight knowing my staff isn't working in deplorable conditions, but also making good use of taxpayer dollars. So if that's of interest to anyone, if someone on the prevailing side, those of the three of us that voted for it, if wanted to make a motion to reconsider, we could have some discussion around that. If not, we can move right along. Contract's right here. I'll sign it tonight. I don't honestly remember who voted for it, so I don't even know who I'm talking to. I know I did. But.
What's the, is it just anybody on the prevailing side? Because I think it was myself, the mayor, and Commissioner Sachs.
Yeah. So we'd have to just have a motion to reconsider in a second, right? From any on the prevailing side, and then that has to pass with a majority, right?
So I'm going to make a motion to reconsider having another RFP.
Yes. I would caution you that there may be some issues with that. I don't know how long it was advertised previously, but we can do that. We can re-advertise it. If we're going to do it, I would suggest re-advertising for a month and see if you can get more responses.
With the confidence that we can put the temporary repairs in, I will make the motion to reconsider, have an RFP, give another month for that, for the reconsideration.
Okay. So kind of roll it on one motion, I guess. Just motion to reconsider and path forward. Are you okay with that, or do we need to keep this?
Well, let's get the motion to reconsider.
Right, yeah.
So we have a motion.
So,
do we have a second?
Motion to reconsider. We have the second. Can that be from anyone, or does that have to also be prevailing side?
It can be from anyone.
Anyone can second.
Second.
City clerk, call the roll on that motion again. That's just to reconsider this item, so we
Right.
can now discuss it again openly, and then we'll move forward. Go ahead.
Commissioner Sacks?
No.
Commissioner Cloney?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGurk?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, sorry for the confusion. So again, my suggestion is, and I think city manager agreed, let's invest a little bit of the savings into a temporary fix so we can look our employees in the eye, know we're doing right by them, but also try to save some taxpayer dollars and let staff go through another process. We do run a risk. The bids could all go up. That's a risk I think I'm willing to take if you all are. So I think that was kind of the other part of the motion you had made, if you still are okay with that.
All right, so you want me to make a motion for
So-
a
So we
new
have the-
RFP?
So the next would be to not award the RFP at all and direct staff to reissue the RFP for a longer period of time to get more responses.
You want a time frame on that? 1 month?
Call it, how much direction do you want on the? Leave it to the manager's discretion on the
Yeah,
details?
I think timing should be manager's
I want to see if we could bid it out earlier, but we'll see how it goes.
So I'm-
RFP, issue a
Yes,
RFP.
yeah, it will be an RFP. I'm just saying it depends how much time that we need, so.
Repairs, if you will.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to go out for another RFP at, timeframe being at the manager's discretion, and approve the temporary repairs that need to be done to prevent the water leaking in the building.
Do I have a second to that motion?
Point of order. Carrie, since we made the motion to approve the item, the agenda item, we would need to bring that agenda item back and vote it down with
Okay,
that-
so
with that-
we're reconsidering the vote.
Item A, or V.
Okay, consider the request for approval.
yeah.
The original motion was to approve it as it was.
Right,
Okay, so we'll re-vote on that.
right.
Okay, so there was a motion to
I
approve,
thought so if we're so we bought our back, we're reconsidering in. At the point we're reconsidering in, so we're kind of back to, we had never talked about N, basically. So now, I think, and you're more of a parliamentarian than I, but I think in the reconsideration of N, at that time, we could have made the exact motion he just made. So I think that's an appropriate motion for the point that we were at. I'm happy to do it either way, but I think it is an appropriate motion in the consideration of N. We don't have to vote N down and then make a new motion. We're reconsidering N.
We don't need to make a motion to go out for a new RFP. If we vote the original motion down, then the motion dies, or the roof dies, and it's back before us, and he already knows what our intent is, so it'd be just a simple process.
Okay.
But you're reconsidering the motion on the agenda item, so you'd have to go back and address that agenda item.
Yes.
Because we'd have to revote that item.
So now it's like you're back to zero. So you're back to the original item.
You're in charge, but I'm just.
You're the parliamentarian.
I just.
All right. Commissioner Clody, your comments. And then we're going to let Commissioner Hartman make a motion.
We were presented with two bids, and the one reason we didn't go with the parent low bidder was the time frame.
Yeah.
However, he could meet the specifications, provide the better strength roof material within a couple months. Can't we award him that bid at this point?
You would be disagreeing with the selection committee's numbers.
Yes.
But
They
you
weren't
couldn't it couldn't be based on low bid because that's not what the criteria was. So you'd have to have those submittals in front of you.
Okay, the information that I was provided, which is what gave me a red flag to begin with, is the recommendation of the staff did not even have the bid prices in it. I had to ask the manager, who then said he was going to bring somebody here, David, to explain it to us. So we didn't even have the information. If I had the information on that, I would have disagreed with what they were recommending and gone with the lower bid.
So I think Carrie's trying to make sure we're very careful on government procurement laws, which are extremely explicit on what we can and can't do and what has to be in that. So I'm going to defer to her now. It's just so much money.
Yeah.
It is.
So my concern is that the staff report had a lot of talk about the bid, and our discussion used the word bid a lot, and this was an RFP. So that's where my concern lies.
Okay.
In that we're talking about numbers quite a lot, and
Yeah.
we're not really talking about the RFP process. So that's where my concern lies. So I think it would be better to reissue the RFP, get more proposals back.
Okay. So to get to there from here.
So I make a motion that we approve 6N,
Okay.
which is the replacement of the roof with the information that staff provided, which included a contract with Barbara Klein.
So it's a motion to approve, which is exactly what we had before. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Now, if we wish to basically reconsider the vote, it needs to be a no. If you want to move forward and pretend that I never brought this back up, you can vote yes. Kelly, go ahead.
Commissioner Hartman,
No.
Vice Mayor McGurk,
No.
Commissioner Sacks,
No.
Commissioner Cloney,
No.
Mayor Owen.
No.
Make sure I was going the right way.
I know. I've thoroughly confused everyone. All right. Now do we have a motion? We don't need a motion. You're saying now that's rejected.
I would think that staff just has to come back and
Staff can take
bring
it from here.
something back to us.
All right. Perfect. Thank you all. Next item up, boards and commissions. I wanted to point out there are 4 folks who have applied for more than one of the boards. So if you want to make a note of these folks, just real quick, that's Goldman, Janet Goldman, Miller, Thomas Bine, I think it is. Sorry if I mispronounce it. And then Sean Barrow-Steinert. So all 4 of those folks applied to multiple boards. That's okay. It's allowable up to 3, I think it is. Just wanted to highlight it. City Clerk, just want to make sure we highlighted it in case any of us had missed that.
So I would like to make a recommendation that we do the Planning and Zoning Board first.
All right.
Since that's only one position.
Yep.
And that
If hearing no objections
takes 3 or
to
4 others.
item 10D, we'll go to Planning and Zoning Board. So item 10D, Planning and Zoning, the appointment of one citizen to serve an unexpired term expiring October 31st, 2023. Do I have a nomination?
Yes. Mr. Dale DiBernardi.
Okay, so it's a nomination for Del Bianardi.
DiBernardo.
Commissioner Colodi?
Thomas Bien, if I pronounce that correctly.
Okay. Any nominations down here?
Brooks Weiss.
Brooks Weiss. Any other nominations? All right. So we had 3 nominations, Thomas, Dell, and Brooks. If you would complete one of those on your ballot. Take a step back in time to the early 19th century. Complete a paper ballot. So that was Thomas, Dale, and Brooks. Hopefully you put one of those.
All right, by ballot, Commissioner Colodi selected Thomas Bien. Commissioner Sacks selected Dale DiBernardo. Mayor Owen, Vice Mayor McGurk, and Commissioner Hartman selected Brooks Weiss.
Okay.
So 3.
All right, so Mr. Weiss will fulfill the unexpired term expiring October 31st, 2023. Thank you for your willingness to serve. All right, we're going to go back up now, gentlemen, to 10A. This is the Community Enhancement Engagement Committee. We have 3 citizens. We had Janet Goldman, Jim Miller, and Jonathan Thompson. I think it was by Johnny Thompson. If you remember, he was the gentleman that was on the golf advisory. We just appointed him. So we had 3. We have multiple vacancies. I think there's, how many do we have on that board? 5 or 7?
This is an 11-member
Oh,
board.
11. All right. So 3 out of 11, gentlemen. Do I have a motion to appoint? Do I have a motion on this item?
Make a motion to appoint the 3 applicants.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
City Clerk, if you'd call the roll.
Commissioner Sacks?
Yes.
Commissioner Coloni?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGurk?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, item 10B, Economic Development Task Force.
Make a motion to appoint 3 of the 4. Because Gene Miller was
That is
previously
correct.
appointed.
Yeah. Okay, so that was Thomas, Michael, and Charles.
Yep.
As a motion. Okay, have a second. City Clerk, quick question on this one. Sorry, I should have asked you before. It just dawned on me. My understanding at the time when we talked through this was these task force were going to be formed around kind of specific economic task or things from the commission where we say, hey, we're considering, the impacts of this development out by Walmart. And so let's get, a group of people that are experts in that and have them, work on that particular task for a very set, defined time. It looks like this is kind of reforming just an advisory, kind of a standing advisory board. Am I missing something here?
No, we needed to, you're not, Mayor, we did need to fill the vacancies on that board. It's called upon as recommended by the city manager when there's different projects, but we needed to have citizens on there.
So your vision is that there's people that are just kind of always on there, then they just meet as requested. That's fine.
Unless you wanted a different way per project.
It's not just my board, but my thought was that it would be just basically depending on the item, because if it's item A versus, if it's a hospital, I'd love to go get people that have administrated hospitals versus if it's apartments, I'd love to get people that have experience on that, or whatever the topic is, versus this kind of standing board of applicants. So that was just my vision, but if everyone else saw it differently, we can appoint some standing board members, but then just call upon them as needed by the city manager or the commission. We had a motion and a second to appoint these 3 members, so if there's no other
Well, I'd like,
Go ahead.
you bring up a good point. I think the idea was to take a new, fresh approach to how we deal with the boards and committees.
Yeah.
So, maybe it's just, difficult to do that structurally. But I'd be willing to not vote on this tonight, have a little more discussion on what the direction is. I don't think we have to put this together right away.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we have a little more discussion on it, at least on the dais or with staff. We don't need to rush into this.
Yeah, I agree. I was trying to think of an example. We just had one, but again, just forming a task force related to that specific item. So I could picture, Phil and the city manager putting out an all-call, hey, if you have expertise in these areas, we need you for 60 days to work on this and give us some advice and opinions on this. Give us the commission.
And even the commission being able to go out and say, hey, I
Yeah.
know a great thing that you would be awesome on, and it's not a long-term commitment.
Yeah, it's 60
for 3
days.
years.
Yeah, so all of a sudden I could get the CEO of a thing to commit to 60 days, but we're never going to commit to sign up for a standing board that could be called any time. So that was kind of the vision. Commissioner Clody, I saw your hand.
Well, my take on it basically is that we're creating a pool of people that would be drawn upon to handle a particular task when it comes up. We're not tasking them with anything right now.
Yeah, but it's a 3-year term. That part's just different than what I had, and I should have caught this earlier, admittedly, but this notion of this 3-year term is not the vision that I remember hearing when we talked through this originally. So for that reason, I won't support what's before us today. It's not anything personal to these 3 candidates. They're probably, I know one of them personally is an amazing candidate. Just not the vision of the whole thing. So, but we had a motion, we had a second. So
I think I was the second on that.
You were.
Okay.
I'm going to rescind my second on that simply because
All right.
I don't want to keep going down the same road.
I'll second the motion.
All right, we had another second. So we had a motion, we had a second. That was to the appointment of Thomas, Michael, and Charles for 3-year terms, starting now and expiring September 1st, 2025. City Clerk, if you'd call the roll, please.
Commissioner Sacks?
Yes.
Commissioner Clody?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGurk?
No.
Mayor Owen?
No.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Item 10C, Facilities Advisory Committee. Appointment of 4 citizens to serve as regular members. Again, we had 4.
I think there's only 2 left, though, right?
Let me see. No, that was Jean Miller. Jean Miller was appointed to the
Oh, okay.
community. Mhm. So there are 4 that have not been appointed, with a special consideration for appointment for William Pertel. He did serve on the Golf Advisory Board.
We just appointed Thomas.
We just talked, Thomas.
Okay, so it's 3. Sorry about that.
If you don't want to appoint 2 to the same, again, there's nothing saying we can't. We just wanted to make sure everyone clear, but we absolutely can have people serve on multiple ones. We have a motion on item 10C.
I'll make the motion to appoint them all,
Okay, motion to make appointments of all
all
4.
who are eligible.
All 4 applicants.
Second.
I have a second. City Clerk, if you call the roll.
Okay, let me see. It would be the 3 applicants, Sean, Barrios, Steiner, Janet, Suzie.
The
Gooden.
motion was for all eligible applicants, which would be all 4 of them.
Okay.
So Thomas will be on 2 boards.
So,
Wait a minute.
is there any restrictions onto that?
No, they serve in an
No.
advisory capacity. So if that's okay with everybody, that's,
So isn't the point something like this to bring some people in?
Yeah. So the motion was for all eligible, just so we're clear, all 4 are eligible. I'd highlighted that multiple people can serve on multiple boards. We weren't saying they couldn't, we just wanted to highlight that. So that was the motion and the second. Before we
Thank
call
you.
the roll, if you wanted to.
Thank you for that,
So,
and I agree.
okay, all right. All right, City Clerk.
Vice Mayor McGurk?
No.
Commissioner Sacks?
No.
Commissioner Clody?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman,
Yes.
Mayor Owen.
Yes, because this one was a standing one that we were gonna bring as projects came, because the expertise is just kind of all things. So I think this one was different.
Are we gonna, is it just 4 on this board, though?
No, there's gonna be more.
Okay,
We're just taking them as we get applicants.
okay.
Yeah,
Thank you for the clarification.
yeah.
There's actually 5.
5, one has 11, yeah. So the task force, the Economic Development Task Force, I think, was the one that was mainly a kind of, it was formed for specific purposes. The Facilities Advisory Division there was a standing expertise of architects, building trades folks, various expertise that staff has access as we go through any kind of internal project to be able to come to them and say, hey, is there anything we're missing as we build this? Are we about to build pickleball courts staring into the sun? Give us some feedback, so.
But I'm not sure we got that, did we? With the applicants? You see some multiple applicants
Yeah.
applying to multiple boards, I thought, the idea was to channel certain people who have better qualifications. It's an idea, it was just
Valid
running
point.
theory, so.
Running. All right. Mayor and commission reports. We'll begin with the vice mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have one thing to bring up, and that is the MPO/TPO. I still hear them call it both. I'm here to report that I have lived my life on that board. Started in 2004 as a citizen on the Citizens Advisory Committee and the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. And eventually, when I got to elected office, I was so graciously handed the job of, so many say, watching paint dry. But because I had experience in it, I was more than happy to take it. And I've gone through the process. I have now served out my past chair appointment, and I am ready for someone else to run with it and get as much for the city as we possibly can. Randy Hartman has been the backup, and I think he would be a great person for it. He's very diligent and detailed. He studies the agenda, he looks at the details, and he does not speak before he knows exactly what he's talking about. So I think he's a good fit for it. So I'd recommend that we appoint Randy Hartman to that board if you all are interested, and I will be stepping down.
Do we control that, or do they have to accept this, or
No.
each city gets an appointment, or?
Each city sends their own delegate to the TPO board. So it's up to us.
You willing to do that?
I'm willing to do it unless somebody else just has a burning desire to do it. It's.
I'll do it for a month.
That's fine, too.
It is an important board. It is like watching paint dry, but when you stay on and you fight for your projects, you get funding, and our city has been phenomenal over the years of submitting, call for projects. Some cities leave stuff on the table. So it is a board that we've been well represented on. Our vote is only worth 4%, roughly. So it's about building relationships and spending time on the board. So I do recommend that someone take it who likes it.
Does it have to be elected official? Can it be?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's actually a committee, a technical coordinating committee that our staff attends.
I got you.
So there's a citizen, a technical, and then the elected board.
Okay.
And then there's a executive board if you want to work your way up to chairing.
All right.
Okay,
Need a motion?
I make a motion to have Randy become our TPO representative.
Do I have a second?
Sure, second.
City clerk.
Commissioner Hartman,
Yes.
Commissioner Colodi,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGurk,
Yes.
Commissioner Sacks,
Yes.
Mayor Owen.
Yes,
Thank you.
as long as you don't pay Page Avenue.
Well, that was city.
I can't just up the VIX, right?
Yeah. Just don't connect, just don't make it a thoroughfare, that's all I ask. All right, still your time, Vice Mayor.
That's it. I have been a pleasure to serve on the TPO, and I think in the long run, we got a lot of projects passed through that we otherwise, and a lot of things funded. And that Mission State Road 44 intersection has been the baby that I have been championing for the city.
Thank you. Commissioner Hartman.
If you recall, last meeting, the end of June, I brought up an item about a text amendment application fee that the school up on Orange Avenue had to pay for that. We've had other text amendments come before us that is staff initiated, so no one pays for it. We've had others that have been initiated by other individuals or groups, but they didn't pay for them. So as an avenue to be kind of consistent with this and to do a look back, and where I truly believe that what they're trying to do with the school out there is truly what New Smyrna Beach is all about. It's unique, it's eclectic, it serves a special service and purpose. I would like to get a consensus from the rest of you, the members up here on the dais, that we refund their application fee, however the manager sees, whatever he thinks works best. If it's just a direct refund or how that can work. It was a $2,500 application fee, and it was something that staff completely agreed with and worked with. And it, again, it was a B3, wasn't it, or B2? Whatever, it affected other parcels of property in the city. So it wasn't just specific to them. It didn't just give them something to do better with. You know, it wasn't directed just at one company or one individual, so it's going to affect, you know, all of those properties zoned that way going forward. So I really feel that it should have been a staff-initiated text amendment, and so therefore, you know, I'd like to get your support to refund them the $2,500.
I think it should be an agenda item and shouldn't be brought up at the end of a meeting. It's not to say that I disagree with you,
Okay.
but I think that's the process we've agreed to follow.
Okay, any other
Well,
comment? Oh, go ahead.
My point is, if I can get a consensus
Yeah.
here, then whatever that process is, that process is. I'm not saying that we vote on it tonight. I'm just whether or not I get enough support from you guys to give it to the city manager to bring it up on a future agenda.
I agree with that.
Okay.
I agree with that as well. In fact, you know, we had another one today, and I don't want to hijack your time, so I'm not
Right.
coming back to you, but we had another one today that I completely agree with everything you just said. But I want to be careful of setting us and future commissions up for this expectation of, if you just come with your hand out, you're going to get, you know, you can get the fee waived, or if you have, you know, you write a long enough letter like we got today, you can get the fee waived. I mean, there's absolutely cases where we could, but I don't want to create where it's a two-step process of first we're litigating, are they going to pay, and then we actually have to hear the application. Because in the case that we heard today, we haven't even heard the application for that yet. They haven't even applied. They're saying, hey, I don't want to pay the $5,000 or whatever the number was to apply. And so they're already like proactively asking us to waive that. And again, I read the whole letter, and I don't know if I agree or disagree yet. I'm curious to your staff's input, but not tonight, but I'm just saying in general. But I think we have to be, I just like to see some, you know, why did it come via them and not staff? Like, how did it go when we did the dog thing over on Canal Street? Like, did they pay that, or did staff initiate? Like, I just think we should have some kind of a process on this to keep our staff out of the crosshairs and us and future commissions out of well, you did it for them, and you know.
And that's something I've talked to Colin about, is that maybe we do a look back and see what are we doing consistently, and do we actually need to change that whole process in the future? You know, if it's for multiple zoning areas, you know, is that something staff should bring forward? I think this one over here was done the way it was done because they're trying to get ready for a school year.
Yeah,
So
they need
that was the fastest way they could get it done.
But
rather
we-
than go through the whole process.
We had one on the agenda tonight, right? The dog stuff. I mean, that's, that's the exact same situation. I mean, they're asking for, I mean, I think, very similar at least, right? So did they pay the fee or?
That was
They didn't.
because it was a staff-initiated process,
See?
so.
So the process is broken. And so,
So the, I mean, the historical building height lot joining was staff initiated. Sorta, so, and nobody paid for that, so, either everybody pays or nobody pays, or, we fix the process.
But it's kind of interesting. Sometimes what happens is we have a problem.
Yep.
And we say, okay, how could we resolve this problem? And so then we end up with a text amendment.
yeah.
Sometimes somebody comes in, for example, like the school. It wasn't a problem, but it was a problem for them. And that's why they submitted the fee application.
Yeah.
And it's really a hairline. I
But
mean,
if the
it's
dog, but if the thing that was on the agenda tonight, that's not a problem. I mean, that's not a problem for me. That's a problem for that one business trying to open. I mean, I can't find a hair's difference between that and the school, if I'm honest.
Yeah, but the reality, we're never gonna fix that, and that's why we have the ability to make a judgment call at some point. I mean, it's just one of those things. I mean, you look at the school, and on the surface, it's very easy to say, oh, no, it's a school, they make money, whatever. It's like a developer coming in and wanting to do a text amendment to do a project. But then you say, okay, wait a second. You look at the reality of the situation with the school, you look at the all the good that it does in the community, and it just feels right to not charge them that fee. And in the end, there's no system that we can arbitrarily throw a blanket over and say, this is what we're gonna do going forward all the time. That just doesn't work. So we're just gonna have situations where it's gonna be a tough judgment call, and it may be a 5-0 vote, and it may be a 1-5 vote.
Yeah.
What we do is not easy, and that's why.
That's why we get paid the big bucks. All right.
So, let's not kill each other over
Yeah.
this thing.
All right, I support bringing it back. I think I heard Commissioner did, so you did, so there's at least a majority. I think all of us do bringing it back for staff to, we make a decision on that one item. If you have any grand ideas about how we can avoid this in the future, fine. You probably make a valid point. It's probably not a crystal path.
There was something else we had this, we spent
I
so much
know,
time,
yeah, I
and then
know.
we conceded
Yeah.
that. You know what?
We're just
There is
gonna have to
no-
make a judgment
And
call.
the reimbursement will be in the form of, we just reimburse them, we will not give them a credit for, like, say, a building permit, because the building funds are separate.
No, yeah.
So we're just gonna, if we wanted to do it, we'll just do it straight reimbursement.
Yeah. I do think bringing it back, though, I think Commissioner Clay's right. Let's just
Yeah.
be fully transparent on that. Still your time.
No, that's all I had, thank you.
Commissioner Colodi.
The only question I have is for the city manager, and it's not to be answered tonight.
Sure.
But I see that we did not get any ECHO grants for any project we might have put in, and whether
we submitted for several projects, so I haven't heard back, so I'll double check on that.
Okay, because I did read something in the newspaper that they awarded a lot of grant money.
Yeah. I did not receive anything official, so I cannot tell you whether we did or not, but I'll double check.
Yeah, I would just like to see if there's any pattern, any way we should change our submittals or whatever. That's it.
Okay, Commissioner Sacks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a few things. I have to stand in opposition to the Pioneer Trail Exchange. I know Vice Mayor was a proponent of it. I believe he still is. It's unfortunate that we do stand on opposite sides of this, but I feel that it will be a very negative impact to the environment of that area and will only add to the sprawl we may see in the Spruce Creek watershed. That's an outstanding Florida water body that may come under siege when we start to develop that area along with Williamson Boulevard. So that's my point on that one. There's the issue of social inequity, and how I want to raise that issue is Saxon Drive. We had a whole big discussion with the citizens about everything from the environment to resiliency, and we even had social equity in there. It was quizzical, because where does social equity fit into all of those elements that we had great discussions with the public about? But now I think to myself, where is the social equity where we have 3 roads, Peninsula, Riverside, and Saxon? They're almost identical. Saxon, when my wife and came with the application, we found that it met the MUTCD, but yet there was no discussion. I don't think even a second for discussion. And anecdotally, I got to share these stories with you, 3 stories. But first I want to congratulate the police chief and thank him and his force for aiding last night the mutual aid in Edgewater. It was an unfortunate incident, but Chief, I have to address you as far as multimodal transportation. We're having a problem on Saxon, especially because we have that multi-use trail. And I've been endorsing multimodal travel, which is basically walking, biking, and driving cars. And they don't interface very well. And here's a perfect example. I'd like to read this to you. It's a very short email that came to me. The influx of golf carts started several years ago, and now they're starting to spill over to our sidewalks. 3 times in the last week, this is from a gentleman, I have encountered golf carts while jogging on the sidewalk along A1A. Today, as a golf cart was heading towards me on the sidewalk along A1A near 14th Avenue, I told the person driving the cart that they should not be on the sidewalk. Their response was that I should move, or I was going to get hit. Any help on this situation would be great. And that's why I ask staff and the police department to help with possibly education. And I know your hands are already full with just automobiles speeding and causing problems in the city. But now we have, I don't call them low-speed vehicles, they're high-speed vehicles. The golf carts are riding on our sidewalks, they're riding on our multi-use trail, they're getting into accidents. And here's another good one. The very same day, I'm riding my bicycle to Publix. We live in close proximity, so it's easy to ride. And there's a truck parked in the multi-use path along Saxon. He's parked dead in the center, and I had to stop and wait because the car was oncoming. It was a very large car. It was a Tahoe, so there was no way. So I just stood there, and he waved me on, thankfully, or else I wouldn't have been able to go. So here's a car impeding a multi-use trail that's meant for even skateboards, bikes, peds. And we're constantly having this problem on Saxon, and I'm sure the other zones are having similar problems. So I think if we're going to be that kind of multimodal city, which the whole world is going to, gas is expensive, and all the other negative impacts of driving. If people get on their bikes and they walk, it's so much better for themselves and the environment, and I want it to be safer. And I hope somehow the police department and through education, maybe code enforcement can find the time, because a lot of it are construction vehicles that are parked, as well as low-speed vehicles are parked on our sidewalks. They're driving on our sidewalks, our multi-use trails, and the situation just gets worse and worse. And I don't expect support, but I would plead with my colleagues for support to lower the speed limit. We have the purview to lower it by 5 miles an hour. Khaled has said to me, well, that'll just make people angrier. That's possible. They're angry already. They drive across 2 yellow lanes. They pass low-speed vehicles. And here's another great story, and I'll finish. Here's a lady riding in her low-speed vehicle. She's got 4 kids, probably under the age of 6 or 7, bouncing around in the low-speed vehicle, and she's got her phone. I'm fired up here. She's driving, and she's got her phone in her face like this, driving down Saxon. I mean, tell me what's wrong with this picture. So people are acting very, very poorly, being scofflaws, being irresponsible, and maybe not even knowing they're doing wrong. So at this point, I would suggest that we educate the people who rent and sell these types of vehicles even more so. And I know there's flyers out there, and we're trying to get information out to people who are in low-speed vehicles to be safe, to not impede others, those others traveling. So again, I would ask my colleagues, could we look at this one more time? I'm not asking for a vote tonight. Khalid, honestly, frankly, he doesn't take a position here. The county did a study on Saxon. They did not commit to saying whether they're lowering the speed was warranted, but they did say low-speed vehicles are the main hazard. And there are many hazards on this road. So can I get a consensus or a vote, quick vote tonight on whether we should lower this speed limit as we have lowered the speed limit on Riverside and on Peninsula, which also have speeding problems, because I have people up on Peninsula complaining about people just speeding up and down all over the place. I'm afraid somebody's going to get killed.
Okay.
So, gentlemen, can I get a second or a consensus for lowering the speed limit by 5 miles an hour on Saxon? Guess not.
Are you going to bring it back as an agenda item?
If that's what it takes.
But I mean, we've had this discussion before where we have a manual in place and there's a process in place, and that's what the people on Riverside did, was they followed the manual and went through the whole process.
Yes.
That's not been
Commissioner
done on
Ansel?
Saxon yet.
Yes, it has.
Well,
I'll bring the evidence and show you.
Have
It
they
has
met-
been.
have they met
On
with the
top
city
of-
eng-
On top of it being met, there are features of that road, a school, a park, many cutouts.
But part of that process, I believe, is getting with the city engineer and going over those kind of things to see what could be done, what's possibility to be done, and whether reducing the speed would be, in fact, a deterrent, or should they engineer something else that would help with traffic issues? So that's what the traffic manual is about, and there is a process in place. And that's what the people on Riverside did, was they followed that manual to the T, and, we've had a phase 1 and a phase 2 that's been presented by the city. A bunch of signatures on a petition by residents, is not the same process. I support you, and I certainly would, I told you before, I'm all for lowering everything down to 25. But, we have to follow the process. I mean, we all sat up here before and beat up that poor manual and finally got it passed, and then, we need to follow the process.
Unfortunately, in my view, I think the manual is incomplete. We're not providing signs. Very simply, that's where I'm trying to get to. Just signage that says not 35, but 30.
But let's be clear what just happened. Commissioner Hartman's exactly right. You cited examples of, can we do the same on Saxon as has been done in other places? Commissioner Hartman outlined, the way that was done was by a process that was agreed to by the 5 of us. Then the reply is, but I don't agree with that manual that was agreed to, maybe not by every single person, but by the majority, which is how we do business. There's a ton of stuff that happens that I don't agree. I have to go on TV sometimes and defend stuff that I didn't even vote for, but then I become the face of it. So just because you disagree with the manual, it's how we all agreed that we would do business. So I think that's why you're finding when you bring the item up and not following the process that you get silence. It's not because of lack of support, it's because of lack of consideration and willingness to follow the agreed upon way, because you just say, but I don't agree with that. And so that's, I think, where the disconnect is, and where some of even the frustration can come in on your part and our part. So I don't want to see that go that route. So I have no problem. If we follow the process that every other place has done, that we've done this with the manual, and it's more than just a petition, as Commissioner Hartman pointed out, and I can't cite them all, but staff can. They can walk through and say, here's the 5 things, and if you've only met 4 of the 5, then it's not going to come forward, because it wasn't the residents of Riverside that randomly just appeared and said, please do this and whatever. It also came with a staff presentation that said, yep, here's all the things. Whether or not staff recommends it or not is very different, and we have proven willing to override when staff says we don't think this is effective and this board has voted to do it. That's fine, but to get to that point, it's got to go through the process, or else this will continue to be willy-nilly with any group of folks just showing up and saying, please lower the speed limit, please raise the speed limit. This will be all over the board. And I think it has to be pointed out that you just cited examples of about 5 or 10 things that are all currently illegal. So changing the law doesn't mean that everyone is going to follow the law. And I'm just, that could lead to anarchy, so I'm not saying we abandon laws, but I'm just saying everything you just pointed out as evidence of needing to change is already something that shouldn't be happening. And we're doing more enforcement than ever. We're going to enforce probably 20 to 25% more, issue more traffic-related citations if we continue current trends in 2022 than we did even in 2021. And it's going to be well over 3,000 issued. So, I think we're doing all we can to enforce the laws that we have. I could really care less whether the speed limit is 25, 35, or whatever through there. I could support whatever, but I'm with Commissioner Hartman. Let's follow the process, and let's not continue to go back and forth and just say, well, I don't agree with the process, therefore I'm going to refuse to follow it.
Well, just to give you a little history, and it maybe doesn't have bearing on how we view this today. From what I understand, when those speed limits were lowered on Peninsula and Riverside, they were just done by the commission. I don't know if there were warrants. They were just, people came forward and said, this is a dangerous condition. We didn't have an METCD at the time.
When are you talking? Okay, so there you go. We didn't have that at the time. So yes, that's a different time. That's a whole different era.
We can override the METCD as well at this time, can't we?
Yes, we could. But I haven't heard any of your colleagues support that. So that's the problem.
Okay, all right.
And at this point, at some point, it becomes a point of order of you can't continue to bring the same item up over and over if you're not getting support. And that's just kind of poor governance. But anyway, still your time.
I wouldn't say it's poor governance, but we can disagree.
Poor governance of a meeting. I'll clarify. Not poor governance of your part. You're fighting for what you believe in. I'm not disparaging that in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I don't mean to make that. It's poor governance of running a meeting. There are rules of parliament that say if an item has been brought forward multiple times, you don't just keep kind of badgering that. At some point, you say, hey, I don't have the support. Look, there's a ton of things that I'm walking out of office. I've talked to staff yesterday about it. I'm like, man, I would love to bring this back up, but my commission's already decided. Franchise bans. I'd love to bring that back up one more time, take one more bite at that apple, but I just didn't have the support, so I'm just not. I made my opinion clear, and so it is what it is. You can't just keep bringing it up just to make a point, so.
I have one more item. Which,
sure, still your time.
I got to admit, it was confusing for me. When we were considering putting a new roof on maintenance ops, and we reconsidered the motion, and so I voted no, and it was a unanimous decision. But here we are kind of kicking the can down the road with a temporary repair, which is still going to cost us a few dollars. I'm for saving dollars, but I'm also for preserving life and keeping our workers and our citizens healthy. I think we should have just gone ahead and fixed the roof. But nonetheless, I probably voted wrong there. Doesn't matter at this point, because if I voted right, it would have been the minority. So that's just where I stand on that. Thank you, by the way. The handicap ramp, I believe, is out for bid. Am I correct, Khaled? At 27th Avenue. And that's all I have, gentlemen. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
But I will be back for Saxon.
All right.
And the MUTCD.
Okay. I have 4 items. Briefly, none of which are for decision tonight. I think all of them are just, really I'm just kind of sensitizing you to it, and I'll ask staff at some point. They're just kind of things I'd love to check off the list before November. E-scooters, I think I mentioned this shortly after spring break. I travel to a lot of big cities. I ride e-scooters in cities when I travel because I use Ubers, and then once I'm downtown, it's kind of nice to go around. However, what I've seen, how they've been used in New Smyrna Beach, they're nuisances. Mea culpa, I was a big supporter of bringing them here. I thought, hey, this is the modern era, but we're not using them where people are parking and using them to go from Flagler to Canal or something. They're literally just driven up and down Flagler, and they're a danger to society. So I would like to see us reconsidering that. So if you all can talk to staff independently and share your thoughts on that, and if staff feels like there's enough support, they'll bring that back. But I'd like to see us just reconsider that, preferably before we get to another busy tourist time like a spring break next year. The other one is September 27th. That is our second hearing for the budget. I will not be able to attend that meeting in person. It would be extremely meaningful for me if the commission would allow, obviously, defer to vice mayor to run the meeting. You can't do that virtually at all. But I would like to at least participate in that final budget vote. There's a lot of things in there that I've lobbied very hard for, and it would mean a lot for me to be able to vote for that. So I'm going to ask if the commission's okay with staff bringing back sometime at some future meeting, bringing back an agenda item to allow for remote attendance and participation. And my commitment to you all would be, I'm not going to try to participate the whole time. To me, that's distracting, but I can just be there for that budget vote. Put in 4 hard years. I'd like to see just this last budget go through with things like police and fire raises, et cetera. So, 2 other things, Brandon Center fees. Again, just kind of one of the last things on the list for me. I think the Brandon Center occupancy is up pretty significantly since we adjusted and gave the staff some latitude on the fees. We're probably now at about the price point that we should be in the marketplace, and it's showing in the occupancy. But I think there's still opportunities for some more dynamic pricing. So if you talk to staff, you can realize that, hey, there's times we have a vacancy and there's a sudden loss and someone wants to have a celebration of life, but they can't afford $2,500. But we have an empty Brandon Center that we're already paying all the exact same expenses for. They call us. If we could offer last minute deals like airlines and cruises and everyone else, we've got the occupancy. No one's going to book a wedding in 3 days and pay $2,500. But we could maybe catch another $500 or $600 in revenue on some of those slow times. To me, all of that should be delegated down to staff. It should be, your job is to make the Brandon Center as revenue positive as possible, and we delegate that management down to them, and that gives them the ability to respond dynamically. For instance, if October's solid booking up every year, we probably should raise the rate in October, but I don't want to debate that up here. That's kind of beyond us, honestly. That should really be staff's discretion. So again, kick it around, talk about it, talk to staff. My suggestion that I'm going to try to bring back for support would be that we delegate a lot of that down to staff, and if we set any policy, it's, hey, we expect this level of performance, not the details of how you achieve it. That's your job. This is what we expect. We'd like to see this level of occupancy, or we'd like to see this level of expense coverage, or whatever those things are. But then we delegate the minor details down to management. So those are the 3 items. I had one more, but I'm going to leave it off for tonight. So those are the 3 items I think I had. Did I forget anything? I see I'm coming to you. Did I forget anything else that I was going to bring up? All right. So again, not even for discussion tonight, not asking anything tonight. Just talk to staff, and I'll bring it up again. Just wanted to sensitize you to it before it comes up. So
I would support
just
all
quickly.
of those.
okay. All right. Yeah. Go ahead.
Just quickly, Mrs. Dempsey had come before us with that request. Should we consider this an administrative items in business and bring it back for discussion?
Yeah, we talked about that earlier, I thought. What did we, Kyle, hang with me here real quick. The Dempsey item earlier, I thought we just talked about that, but I can't remember.
Which one?
The application fee. It's going to be a future item. Yeah, we talked about it. All right.
Okay.
I'm going to go to city clerk and let them talk. City clerk report, anything?
Just real quick, I won't be at the next meeting on the 23rd. That's the primary election, so I'll be in DeLand. Sharon will be covering the meeting. Also on the 23rd, you'll be
Wait, our next meeting is on primary election night?
on primary, yes.
Okay.
There's
Yeah.
general election, we changed the date. Primary, there wasn't any current
Okay.
that was running in it, so.
Yeah. So we have all, okay.
There will be a resolution at that meeting also to consider the adoption or the approval of a canvassing board, which, if adopted, it would be the two commissioners that are not in the election, 3 and 4, and myself. So just
For what
wanted to
now?
bring that up.
For the canvassing boards?
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct. Mhm.
So the two that are not in the election plus you? Okay.
So it's,
So it'd
It's
be these two plus you?
Yes,
Okay.
mhm. And Volusia County can cover us at any time. We just have to serve if necessary.
Unless you want to do that.
Nah, I'm good.
That's
right.
all I had.
City manager report.
You have my reports before you for the sake of time, but I just want to reaffirm a couple of dates just so. On August the 18th is the budget workshop. August 30th is our quarterly commission workshop. The most important two dates is September 14th, and that is the first the budget public hearing, and September 27th is the second budget public hearing. I don't know if you looked in the report. I have indicated there that DOT has approached the city engineer about Julia Street. I think that is looks like they are eager to close it off because it's so close to Canal and so close to Washington. But I think it's going to impact the west side. So I have them to do a public meeting first and make sure that at the end it comes to the commission for final approval so you're aware of what's happening.
So Khalid, on that, then it would be two dead ends at the railroad track?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And there's always been some concern about if you're headed north on US 1, there's no left-hand turn on the Washington, a left turn light. Is that something that they would be willing to?
We have requested that probably that I recall at least 3-4 times. Now, each time we have requested it, it wasn't warranted, but I will ask him again.
Yes, especially if we're going to close Julia, then I think that's, it's going to be big, it's going to be important for the west side.
But it's dangerous because if you have a southbound traffic making a left into Washington, you barely could see traffic coming in, and I see a lot of missed calls there.
Yes.
So.
Okay, any questions for city manager on his report? Hearing none, city attorney report?
No report tonight.
All right, if no other business for the board, meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.